On that note, I'll read your comments about the live stream after. So the first story of the day is about the Caravan. So I talked about it a little briefly earlier. I don't care if you're Democrat, I don't care if you're Republican, I don't care if you're pro illegal immigrants living, I don't care if you're pro DACA. I'm not even going to debate that. I would hope that this is something that everybody could agree on. I mean, isn't it a little bit strange, even though we have, reports from mainstream publications saying 50,000 people are trying to cross our border every month? That's a lot. I don't think anyone reasonable would think that you could just let 50,000 people in every month illegally and it's not going to hurt the system, especially in California when they say they want to give universal health care to illegal immigrants too. So if you have no social security number and you're not paying taxes, of course they're going to get their benefits from your money, from the Mexicans and Guatemalans and Latinos and white people and black people and Europeans, the ones that actually work and have like green cards. That's who's going to pay for it. I'm not hating. I've worked with illegal immigrants. I like a lot of illegal immigrants more than I like citizens sometimes, to be real. But nothing about this Caravan situation makes sense. They're literally, there's 5,000 people and it's like a Scooby-Doo episode. Like MSNBC and CNN's like, is Donald Trump racist? Here is the Caravan coming towards the US. It's like, what is this, a reality show where we just hop people in a bunch of buses and send them towards the American border? It's the goofiest situation. It makes absolutely no sense. And I do want to say there have been many reports, including ones that cited the president, I believe, of Guatemala. Don't quote me on it because I want to do more research, but I believe the president of Guatemala, look it up, found out that there were 100 ISIS members in the Caravan, or they arrested 100 ISIS members. So you have to understand, when you're weak and naive and foolish, if you're just going to let caravans of thousands of people come into your country, there's millions of people, if not tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not more, around the world who don't want the United States to exist in its current format. There's people, I'm looking on Instagram, just to be honest, I'm watching people share little quotes that say, Europe belongs to Islam now, and Europe's not doing anything about it. They're like, oh no, you're racist if you don't want mass illegal immigration by the millions that's raising our crime rate. It's just like statistics. Even Reuters will admit that, and Newsweek, who's super left-wing. I'm not quoting right-wing Breitbart, I'm quoting the left-wing news sources. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, if you're weak and naive and foolish, you're going to be taken advantage of. So if America's going to just keep letting people smash the borders down and let caravans in, of course ISIS is going to go to South America and try to come in through the United States. Why wouldn't they? I mean, that's the easiest access. They're like, dude, I don't even have to fly a plane or do this or throw a bomb. I could just come in through Guatemala. And leftists and Democrat media is so foolish and naive that they're going to support me, promote me, and probably start a GoFundMe page so I can get $20 million in lawyer fees. So I could be an ISIS member coming to the United States via Guatemala, and then you'll have liberals and Democrats paying for my lawyer fees to stay here. Who wouldn't want to be here? You get free stuff, you get $20 million GoFundMe pages, you get free lawyers, you have everybody putting you on the news. They don't even care about the immigrant families who live here, but they're like, hey, you just came in from Guatemala. Don't you hate Trump? It's like, I got a message yesterday from a DACA recipient who says, I love America and I like Trump. I'm afraid to say it though. How do you do it? I was like, well, first of all, I'm not a DACA member. Second of all, I just say how I feel. Third of all, I'm sorry, brother, that you feel that way, that you're afraid of like the left-wing mob attacking you, even though you're a DACA recipient. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is nothing about this Caravan makes sense. I don't care if you're left-leaning or right-leaning. It's so goofy, and this is the ideology that has sent millions of people running right from the left. I'm totally pro like good welfare programs or giving up money to help other people. I've always been very kind. I'm not racist. I don't want to hurt anybody, but I'm also not a complete moron. And I feel like unless you're like brainwashed socially or you're very, very foolish, there's nothing on the left anymore. You have Nancy Pelosi parading around saying borders shouldn't exist. So the Caravan, it just doesn't make sense, even if you're pro-legal immigrant. So this caravan of thousands of people gets towards the Mexico border, and the first report is that the Mexico, border security is all over it. So the first report was good, and I do want to say on this note, I think AMLO, the president of Mexico, is going to work with Trump way more than the last president. I have good vibes with AMLO. I have good feelings about AMLO. I think he's going to do a better job with Mexico, and I also think he's smart, so he doesn't want to just he wants to help Trump. If he does this for Trump and stops the caravan, then Trump's going to do a lot of stuff for Mexico. That's what it's about. We love Mexico. We're working with Mexico. We just did a whole new trade deal with Mexico. We're really hitting it off. Trump and AMLO, it's like Trump and Kim Jong-un, love at first sight, whatever. So I do think that they're going to handle this properly. So anyway, that's the first report. Mexico stopped it, great. Whereas I believe the other president, and even AMLO has made like, oh, I'm not going to stop caravans for you. He did mention that. We'll see what he does, because he is a little iffy now that I remember it. But so then there's reports like an hour ago or 2 hours ago that the caravan smashed the fence down and they're like pouring into Mexico. This is not America. This is from Guatemala to Mexico, and the caravan is from Honduras. I mean, I don't know what else to say besides the tweet that I just, basically framed and put on Facebook. I do that not to like, oh, I'm so great, I tweeted something. I do it because it's a good marketing strategy. It's easy. It's like a picture quote. You can say what you want to say, screenshot it, put it on Facebook within 5-10 seconds. I believe personally, not to get off a side note, I think I kind of created that strategy. Now thousands of people do it, but I did that in 2016. Everyone made fun of me. Now everyone wants to do it. It's a smart marketing strategy as far as picture posts on Facebook and Instagram. Anyway, so it's not, in my personal perspective, that's not immigration. First of all, what really bothers me about leftists is they've made a synonym, immigration, like the millions of people from Mexico, Nigeria, Europe, Asia, that wait 5-10 years, pay thousands of dollars to immigrate here, go to school on visas. That's immigration. There's a difference between immigration and illegal immigration. That's just a fact. There's a total difference between coming legally and coming illegally, having no social security, having no identity, paying no taxes. There's a difference. Even if you support illegal immigration, the thing that really bothers me with the left wing and the Democrats now is they have a synonym. Oh, if you don't like illegal immigration, you don't like immigrants. Oh, Trump's an immigrant. How dare him not, or he's a family of immigrants. How dare you not support illegal immigration because you're an immigrant? Do you know how mad tens of millions of immigrants are? I'm talking about Mexicans, Guatemalans, Argentinians, Europeans, Asians. They're more furious than me. I'm the son of immigrants, or I'm the son of, the grandson of immigrants. I got a grandson. But people who paid a lot of money and took a lot of time, they're more mad about this than me, because they're like, what the heck is this? I came in, the right way. Should I have just come on a boat or, hop the border? I'd get treated better. It doesn't make sense. But I don't like, even if we're going to have a conversation about illegal immigration and legal immigration, I don't like how it's a synonym. They've mushed it together and said, anybody who doesn't like this, anybody who doesn't want it, it's racist, sexist, and xenophobic. The left is just so disturbing and disgusting. I don't care for a lot of Republicans. I think a lot of conservatives have things to work on, just as I do myself. But there's nothing on the left for me. There's nothing in the Democratic Party. They've melted into a complete pile of failure, failed ideology, negativity, complete delusion, where they can't even separate illegal immigration from legal immigration. And even if you support DACA recipients and illegal immigrants, you want a caravan to smash down a border fence at Mexico and just parade into Mexico? This doesn't even have to do with the U.S. Mexico, if you're smart, there's reports now that I've read that police are arresting them. They should arrest all of them. I mean, if you smash down my gate, if you smash down my garage and just come in, whatever. It's no different than knocking on my door and asking to come in politely. There's no difference. Of course there's a difference. I mean, it makes no sense. Either you have a country or you don't. You have borders or you don't. You have laws or you don't. You don't build a fence to let someone smash it down and say, oh, if you don't want the fence smashed down, you're racist. No, nobody from Honduras should be caravanning towards Mexico and smashing fences down. I'm sorry, that's just absolutely ridiculous. You shouldn't do that in states. You shouldn't do that at the Canada border. You shouldn't do it in Asia. You shouldn't do it in any country in the world. You certainly shouldn't do it in Mexico. And you certainly shouldn't do it in the United States. This is the type of stuff, to just be real, that makes me go from someone that says, oh, I don't want to build a wall, I don't agree with Trump's rhetoric, to, you know what, maybe we should build a wall. Maybe we should have more security. Maybe we have to send the military to the border. If people don't get the message that it's not cool to do that, maybe we need a huge, heavy police force and a huge, heavy border force at the border. Because it's one thing to support illegals who are here, It's one thing to support immigration. It's one thing to support people whose visas have, expired. It's another thing to be like, I'm pro smashing fences down and invading countries when there's reports that there's ISIS members in those groups of people. And that's what I'm explaining to even my Democrat and leftist friends. It's one thing to be pro-illegal immigration. It's another thing to be like Justin Trudeau and be pro-ISIS. I mean, they're literally like, oh, there's ISIS members in Canada, but that's okay. We're going to give them podcasts, and we're going to make them better people, and we're going to forgive all of their sins. I'm not saying not to forgive some people's sins, but either you have security and common sense or you don't, folks. And this is like leftist ideology. They don't care. I wouldn't even be surprised if they were pro-ISIS. I'm not saying that they are. I don't want to make like a grandiose overstatement because I don't like when either side does that. But at this point, I mean, what else do you want to think when they're smashing down fences in Mexico, racing towards the border, and there's reports that there's ISIS members along? Oh, well, we don't need fences. I'm sorry, man. If you don't vote or woman, if you don't vote Republican, you hate America, you hate yourself, or you're completely delusional. You're so wrapped up in victim ideology and mainstream narrative talking points by celebrities and television that you can't even process basic common sense and basic normality of how to have a functioning society. I see no other reason to vote Democrat. They're doing nothing right. They're doing nothing right with any sort of leftist talking point that would make sense. They're doing the exact opposite. They're endangering our country. And trust me, you think America's bad now with our economy? Wait till they turn it into Syria or Libya. Then you'll really be crying. Be like, oh, I didn't realize. Oh, no, now it's really bad. Yeah, because you let ISIS members and a bunch of hundreds of thousands of people pour into our borders with no sort of decency or security. Makes absolutely no sense. And I want to wrap up on this note. I just find it very suspicious, and I've said this multiple times. I don't want to get into it, and I don't want to be misquoted, but Libya and Syria, we want to do something. All of a sudden, ISIS shows up. ISIS shows up in Syria. Now, all of a sudden, they're fighting the Syrian government, and they're trying to, take over that country. I find it very suspicious that everywhere that the Democrats and neocons, the big Republicans and Democrats that don't like Trump, every time they don't own a country and they don't control a country, all of a sudden ISIS shows up. I find that very, very hard to believe that ISIS is just working by themselves. And if you look at a lot of reports, you listen to people like Rand Paul and Tulsi Gabbard, you'll know that your taxpayer dollars, certain machinery like trucks and cars from the United States, this is not a conspiracy theory, it's mainstream reporting, mainstream journalism. ISIS is driving U.S. cars. How did they get them? ISIS is being funded. ISIS is being supported. The rebel groups are working hand in hand with ISIS. I find it very hard to believe that every time that they don't control a country, all of a sudden they're for open borders. They want people to pour in, and then there's ISIS members. I mean, these are very bad, sick people, folks. Like Trump said, it's not about left and right anymore. It's not about the two-party system. You have clearly somebody with a normal head on their shoulders versus a complete meltdown and collapse of a political party where they are willing to do anything, say anything, lie, cheat, steal, put you in the hands of literal terrorist organizations that you don't want to be around just to win an election or just to oppose Trump. I don't know what else to say about the border. Caravan, reports of thousands of people breaking down the border fence in Mexico and storming in, reports of Mexican police arresting them. Anybody that breaks down a border fence and rushes into a country should probably be arrested. If I do it in Mexico, or I do it in Canada, or I do it in Italy, or I do it in Guatemala, or I do it in Honduras, I show up to Honduras and break down their fence on the border, why wouldn't they arrest me? Has nothing to do with skin color, has nothing to do with religion, has nothing to do with race. Anybody that's smashing down a border fence should definitely be arrested. I don't care if it's me in Brazil or me in Afghanistan. If I come to your country and break down your fence, please arrest me. I don't think there's anything more illegal and harmful towards a country. On the next note, I want to talk about